you realize that, let me use an extreme example. If you realize that, let's use an extreme example. If you hate somebody and they hate you, there is no solution. There's no solution. If you don't trust somebody and they don't trust you, there is no solution. Because it's a mirror. Do you always tell the truth? Shh. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Yes. Nobody is telling the truth all the time. You're giving yourself an excuse. You're trying to find a way out. Look, look. Your son is who he is, right? Your son is who he is. You're not trying to control your son. You're trying to control your own reactions to your son. You understand? You're trying to control your own reactions to your son. Your son is who he is. Sentient, beautiful, individual mind. Right? Right. Right. There's very little you can do to influence him at this point, age 17. Beyond the age of 13, there's like almost nothing we can do to influence children. Okay? So you're way past. It's gone. That time is gone. Can't be influenced. What you're trying to do is influence your own emotional state by making yourself feel better by sending him to a psychologist. He's right. You're managing your own emotional state and punishing your son for doing it. You're punishing your son for being himself, and you're trying to manage your own emotional state by sending him to a psychologist. Your son is right. You're not sending him to a psychologist for him because you don't know what the result of that will be. You're sending him to a psychologist for you to tell yourself that you've done everything possible. The problem is not the addiction. Life does not exist without addictions. Right? How do you know that if you take away this bad addiction that he will not replace it with another worse addiction? Okay. And when we understand that, we understand that maybe the direction that you think is forward might not be forward, because there's a future that we don't know, that we can't predict, and that we don't understand. Many times by trying to make things safer for children, we make it more dangerous. Why does your husband want to punish your son? Okay, punishing your son will cause pain to your son. But what will your son learn from that? He will learn that we must cause pain to people to change their behavior. Personally, I don't think that causing pain to people because you want them to change is a good road to go, because it teaches the wrong thing to your son. Now, let's go back to you want the best for your son naturally. Let's just assume that automatically, right? You want the best for your son. Let's also assume that we don't know exactly what's in the future. Your son is smart. Your son might be smarter than you. You realize that? At the age of 17, he might be smarter than you. Don't forget that. I know this because my kids who are young are sometimes smarter than me. And as a result, I always have to check myself against their standards. Right? Beyond the age of 13, your son becomes a man. Like it or not, he becomes a man biologically. Right? Now, emotional state depends on a few other things, but your son wants to be free. He wants to be free of these chains that he is bound in by the people around about him. That is completely natural. If the farmer doesn't want his sheep to run away, he must give them a big pasture. Why do you think that your son feels that he can't tell you the truth? be careful. I'm not saying your son doesn't love you, but I'm saying that his immediate response to you is fear. His first response is fear. Now, because look, the default thing is, I will always love you. I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I love you, kids. It's default. It's automatic. Nobody ever says anything else, right? But look at his actions. He's scared. He fears you. His first reaction is fear. I think, personally, I believe that everybody knows what they have to do. Doing it is different, right? I really do believe that deep down inside, everybody knows what it is that they have to do. We all know what's good. We all know what's right. But doing it is a lot harder because this involves self-correction and slow down. I know it's frustrating. Okay, I know it's frustrating. This question that we ask ourselves is like, my God, what do I have to do? It's just, why is this happening? First of all, we have to all understand that whatever's happening to us, whatever we're experiencing, is because of us. Right? Whatever's happening to us, whatever we're experiencing, is because of us. Other people around us affect us, but we choose our environment, we choose our places, as much as we reasonably can. And so it's what do I have to do? We can't really change other people. Okay, here's an example. Here's an example from years ago. I'm trying to think of a reasonable example. So years ago, I was listening to this call-in radio show where people call in to the therapist, the psychologist with their problems. And this man called in with his problem and he said, my wife does this, and my wife does that, my wife does this, and my wife does that, and I'm really frustrated. And the psychologist says, your wife's never going to change. And the man is like, but this and this and this and this. And the psychologist said, the only thing that you truly have power over is yourself. The only thing you ever truly, really have power over is yourself. We try to influence and manipulate in a positive way the people around about us, but the only people we really, truly have control over is ourselves. And the only people we need to have control over is ourselves. Don't panic. Don't overreact. Don't worry. And some of these things are natural. Concern is natural. You're a mother. He's your son. You have your experience in life, which gives you a lot of your knowledge and fears. You can see different roads that he can go down in the future, some of them good, some of them bad. That influences what you do. But he is himself. He is his own person. Now, so I'm not saying, let everybody do whatever it is that they want to do. I think there should be some fundamental rules under everything, the way by which we live our life, but we can't use these things retroactively. Yeah, we are here because of what happened. We have reached this point because of what happened. We can't ignore what happened, but we can't repeat it either. If we end up at a negative point. The solution to your son's future depends on two things. It depends on The solution to your son's future depends on two things: his action primarily, and your reaction to his action. You have very little to no control over his action, but you have every control over your reaction to his action. At this moment in time, your son fears that which is most powerful to you and completely within your control. Your son fears that. Okay? Risk and reward. Yeah, risk and reward. We all would like our children to be successful, to have some rewards in life for their effort and their energy. Yeah? There is no reward without risk. Let's say your son likes football and he goes to the local football club to play in a football team or a football match. Every time he goes on the football field, it could be the last time. Every time he goes out on the football field, it could be the last time. Every time a person gets in a car, it could be the last time. Every time you say bye to your son as you go to work or he goes to school, it could be the last time. We don't know. Life is full of risks and rewards. That is the only thing that is necessary to understand. From that comes our choices and our responsibilities. And look, it's different for everybody. I'm not telling anybody how to parent their children, but what I am saying is that an important conversation to have with your child is, do you know the risk? Yes. Okay, what are the risks? Okay, are you prepared to accept the risks? Okay, because with acceptance of risk comes responsibility. There can be no responsibility without acceptance of risk. And if you're forever trying to manage the risks of your son will never develop any responsibility. Yeah, it's your job. Your job as a parent is to explain risks. Every parent's job is to explain the risks. So yeah. Okay, so we all need straight answers. I'm sorry, but the good things in life are binary. Okay. Yeah, with evidence and reason. Yeah, but it's a yes or no question. Do you know the risks? Yes. Okay. What are the risks? Okay. Now that you've explained it to me and I've listened and I understand that you know. So be it. You could. We all. You're going to get a different answer from everybody you ask and approach. I think the children are okay. It's the parents who are fucked up, right? The parents are messed up by their lifelong experience and their fears and their tribulations, and the children haven't experienced that yet, right? Their world is a world of adventure. Maybe your son will go and climb a tree, but you won't, right? You won't because your brain tells you risk versus reward. It's not for me, right? But your son will go and do it. Would you then say to your son, don't climb trees because it's risky? No. You would ask your son if he knows what he's doing, does he understand the risks involved, and you would let him do it. Same principle applies with everything. Get in a car, drive a car. Do you know the risks involved? Yes. Okay? You can't force your son not to. You can't force your son not to smoke marijuana, but you can manage the risks involved. Do you understand? You can't force him to not do it, but you can make it safer. If John wants to jump out of a plane, he's going to jump out of a plane whatever. But at least you can give him a parachute and make him land safely. He's going to do it whatever. He's a man. He's a man now. He has to be treated like a man. You got to treat him the same way you treat your husband, with the same respect. Your son is a man now. Forget about the fact he's a boy. Forget it. It's gone. He's not a boy anymore. He's not your son. He's an independent man. For that reason, you have to give your son the same respect that you give your husband. Okay? which might be a whole nother topic. But look, your fears are natural. But don't punish your son for your own inability to understand his knowledge of risk and reward.